Well, I don't usually use it, I remember at some point I found a bunch of his books.
For adults.
I found a bunch of his books in my father's house once, and I really like them because of the way that he simplifies things.
Yeah.
Fact.
Alright, let's do it.
Yeah. What are we? Which one are we doing? Are we continuing? Are you starting something new for Hanukkah?
Start something new, or whichever one you lead up to you.
Actually, I have to remember. I already started a new mimer. That's not Mughal. I like doing this.
Turn up on Hanukkah, the one I started with a friend.
You want to continue it with another friend?
If we decided we're going to do this mimer, let's keep at it.
Okay. So in order to understand why Rashi splits these three inyanim into two, and also why the Gemara says it in a way about the Gavra, how I'm saying it, right? About Kol HaIsek instead of that. Or actually, the way the Rebbe says it is why the Gemara in every other place doesn't use this lashon, and in this place it does. We said we'll understand it by looking at what the pasuk Yiduch Hashem Kol Meisecha B'Chasidecha Yivarchucha teaches us. And we brought from the Zohar that Yivarchucha is Yivarchukai. Rebbe Rashab explains that that's Malchus. Yivarchukai is Amshach of Gilui Or in Malchus, and it's specifically the Chasidecha, and it's specifically coming after Yiducha, because the Chassidim give such a bracha that. Because such a hamshacha that's really from a place of Haidah Bilvad. You good? And we analyze the difference. Well, we appreciate what that means once we analyze the difference between tefillah and bracha, and how each one has a mila over the other. And yet we can see that chasidecha yivarchucha is both. You have side the mila of tefillah and the mila of a bracha, where there's this vados, there's a tzivoy that it's going to happen, that the ashpa is going to send, that the amshach is going to happen, and it could even be in a way of Ratzon Chadash. From Amshach. You go.
He goes on to say in the Maimer that היינו שנעשה דבר חדש שלא היה גם אשר שלא קרא לו. השם והחידוש הוא לא בדרך בקשה כבתפילה, אלא בדרך ממילא. Oh, I wanted to remind you, if you feel that you mentioned about your cousin Shai, I'd be happy to go with her on a date. So I don't know how is that something you would make happen?
Yeah. I keep reminding myself, and then I don't execute. But yeah, Mr. Shah.
Okay, so the Chasidecha is Torah. I did tell us to shoot it with Ba'alam. I knew that we create something new that was not in its Shir Shemakar. The change and the novelty is Lai B'derech Bakasha, Kibit Tefillah, Ela B'derech Mamela. It's not b'derech bakasha. It like tefillah, or rather it's b'derech melech. My Rashbi, she'im shechir zechshem ma'idiyah mirster. Like Rashbi, which was able to be Sham through speaking Torah, with they should hear years Sham lachash and nixer, tia tziris Shamim. Boy, damn shach shach shach. I'll be appliqué. I did Mister. I sam shach b'derech melech. We have idea v'yigiyah. Yishleim la. The mashkas ba ma'amer sham shach shadiya bracha dechasidecha. Look, may have shach shadiya Torah.
It's funny that we call it bli avodah v'yegia when it's like it takes so much avodah v'yegia to get there, and then like once that happens, though, once you're mamshich from previous to atik, as we'll find out that once we'll get more technical with the terms, then everything flows. So we're calling it without avodah v'yegia, but like
Right.
you know, it's like a lot of the rich people in society that like people who are jealous of them, or just on a different political end of them, will say like, oh yeah, you just have everything given to you, and it's like a lot of them, at least, who didn't have everything given to them, like really feel like upset by that. It's like, no, you have to understand that I didn't have anything and I worked for this. Like, yeah, now my life is pretty like smooth, and I have a whole business and a whole corporation and a ton of employees. You know, like I have people managing my household. They get to a place like that, but it takes a lot of work, and like they want people to understand. It's not like this was just given to me. Yeah.
Wow.
But it's interesting. Like we could even spiritually. Actually, this sounds so bad. I was about to say spiritually automate life, but that sounds like every other religion, which is so bad. That's not what I mean. What I'm trying to say, it doesn't work in English, I guess. The point is,
what would happen if you die after 120, and you find out that Judaism wasn't the truth, and that you were part of this macro experiment where like there's like you're 0.2%. There's a Muslim kid that grew up in just as an intense thing as you, and then there's an idiot, and everyone just grew up like throughout time. Everyone just came onto the principles that are all somewhat aligned, some not, and then just like lives with it over an evolution of so many years. And then you grow up and you find, would it be a letdown?
The answer to that question is unfortunately, classically, like it requires another question, and that's who orchestrated that experiment. Whoever it was that orchestrated that experiment, I would venture to say like that's probably God, right? And I served God, so I did good, you know, like, and I lived a good life doing it. Like I was happy doing it.
Meaning, this is all pointing to Hashem. So it's not like it's not like you found out that you lived for something which was not the thing, because there is no.
Remember I was saying,
this guy's all about turning to the thing, whatever that thing is.
Major fake is b'munah at some point in like Bachar, young Bachar life, and then like at some point I was like, hey, I'm just trying to dive into the same Creator God that Avraham Avinu was trying to dive into.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong with that. Like the Jewish God is whatever is true. That's who we're turning to. That
Correct. And if we find out that it was all, what is made up? There is no such thing as made up, because this is all Hashem created everything.
Exactly.
I mean, every mitzvah. This is all came out through Hashem.
Yeah. That's also why Chassidus is so important. It's because without Chassidus, you could become very attached to one aspect of God. With Chassidus, it's Ichvil Nargir Alein. Yeah, there's this name and this and this Gilui and whatever, but like it's all ultimately just about Atzmus and doing the Eibishter's will. You don't get that at any other part of Torah. You're gonna have tremendous Gilui, and it's like it's not a Gilui of Etzem, at least not in a revealed way to you. Obviously, all of Torah is a Gilui of Etzem, but like to you, the way that you're taking it in your life.
Right.
It's derech milchama.
Right.
We'll see.
Okay. Okay.
Chances are we will go Malmaila, and Limayla and discover that what we thought was Yiddishkeit, anyways,
Completely
isn't
not.
Yiddishkeit.
What we thought was right.
So, in other words, not chas v'shalom to say that like doing Torah and mitzvahs, like we're incorrect in doing that. No, but I'm saying
But what we're
it's so much more.
But you think when you read Aaron Sof or Seviv Kalam or something encompassing or whatever, that's one thing you gain from plant medicine is that when you do an ayahuasca journey, you leave this realm. You completely leave it, and you start seeing things you learn about Chassidus, and it's like, wow, it's almost like. It's nothing to do with Judaism because what you were learning, we want to have some. Everything here is right. I opened the Keter afterwards, and I was just like, unique as I experienced unique as it's like very like interesting. And you start reading it, it's like Hashem gave this to the world,
Yeah.
All of them, by the way, all the non-Jewish people, the Taitas and the shamans, they carry zayars. They're not Jewish. They all carry zayars because they see these things and they, it's unbelievable. Anyways, we're in a
Totally
concealed
believable
world.
to me.
Anyways, I don't know why that came about, but okay. So yeah, you were saying that's anyways Haravanya of Torah. It's not Haravanya of actually trying to make the impact on the world around you. You're focusing on the Haravanya of Torah, and then everything else happens. You're creating a Sifei Chadash. And Shaydei Bracha Zmin Asar Ratzon Chadash on Mile of Tefillah. Ba'af B'kein Yi Light Tefillah V'Kashal Bracha. B'Derech Tzila Uva Derech Tzisa B'Yerushalmi. Pasuk Tigzer Ayimar Vayakim Lach. Afilu Hu Hakadosh Baruch Hu Ayimar Hichin Ata Merhichin.
Did we do this yesterday?
We did.
Yeah, so we could go to where we're actually holding.
Where are we at right now? Oh, I'm sorry. I started looking. Okay. B'li Aviv Yigav Yishlem the Mashkas B'Maimer Shachshach Shadiyah Bracha Definitely Quake Shachshach Shadiyah Ter Hu Leirak B'Tila Havili Zidmuk B'M Shachshach Yish B'Shnei Amal Tzil Bracha. Alagam, the Rebbe says, Alagam is Fisha Yed to Muzum Metesa Pia by Ile de Chastecha Yebarfuka. Right?
Yeah. In other words, there's more analysis to be done. It's not just like, we brought this to show a dogma of something similar.
Right.
No, it's like the same, it helps us appreciate it.
שעשו כמה תנאים המרחבים, בפחס יער, בן יער שעבר כדניים יחד חילוק בימי מקח. די עסקתר שלנו המשיך לגיל ארץ של מעל משתלשל. על פי זה, גם בהמשך של די עסקתר, through this, we understand that also בהמשך which happened through עסקתר זה חוסר, והם לא ישני עניין מעל זה נאמר. די עסקתר שלנו נעשה שני וחידש בעולם, חידש המידי שלהם גם שיר שמקר תאילם. וכמי Halukas Hanar Shavu Shini V'Chidz Gam L'Gabi Shor Shemaka Da Nara Malad Tefillah V'Ashini Nasa Del Yivgash Al Adei Tzivay Shal Yivgash Yar Malad the Paracha Shi V'Dech Tzivay and the Yishlemer Shachidish V'Shbihim Shech getting to the mile of what he was. I mean, the fact he mentioned there must be a mile more than what we of just doing bracha and right. And Tefillah together Shachidish the Sharash Bihim Shachidish Shem that David Sarah Shal Gabi Mesiv. העצום לשעס כמה תנאים אמרים עדי עסק יותר שלהם שהשיני בהם לשעס כל התנאים אמרים הוא הידי הציבה הגזיר שלהם וכמו ירצו ציבה וגש על העניין שיתח מזמימה והחיד שלי לסמת עדי מיניסטר רשמי הוא דאגן שבתיו שאמר לי היה ציבה כלל גם למרם אז מקום רק מעדי מיניסטר שלהם נאסי רצק שלהם גם שבדרו שאמר לה יציב וכלל גם למרם אז כמו גם יצירה אבי זה שם שזה שמאמר מהדגמא לירס שם אני ויצירה ולרם יש הדרך זה הוא המשך שיברח את דרך הסתך יברכוקה. That's why Dr. brought the example of Reb Shimon.
In the spirit of like intentionally bringing to mind skashus with the Rebbe when learning a Maimer. One thing I love, and I just saw it a little bit, especially in the way that you were reading it, and like as you're reading it and saying it, and I'm listening to you, I'm learning like a new way that like I wouldn't translate it that way, or I wouldn't say it that way. You see in a Maimer how to learn a Maimer. Because you see how the Rebbe is learning the previous Rebbeim's Maimarim, and like what he's like picking at and saying like this obviously means like obviously this is a big deal, you know, like so you see how to learn the Rebbe's Maimer from the way that the Rebbe learns, you know, the Rebbe Shabbos Maimer, for example. If you learn a Maimer of the Rebbe, like the Rebbe learns a Maimer of the Rebbe, you'll never learn another Maimer in your life. You'll just you know, you'll go. Okay. So he explains in the Maimer the shaykhs of Yivarchu Koi L'Chasidach, right? It's specifically that what's Yivarchu Koi? The Hamshacha b'Malchus Koi Me'orin Seif Shalamayla Me'ishtalshlus. The Hamshacha into Malchus, Yivarchu Koi, a bracha is Hamshacha into Koi, from where we said from a place of Yeducha only Haidah Bavad, which is Orin Seif Lamayla Me'ishtalshlus. There's no asaga over there, only a Haidah. L'Chasidach, that is obviously Shaykh to Chasidacha because they're the ones accomplishing this. It's the Chassidim who can do this. We can understand it and appreciate it more according to what the Rambam writes. The difference between kindness and righteousness. The tzedakah in hayosha. Righteousness is the straight path. Tzedakah miloshin tzedek v'yosher. It's just. It's correct. To give everybody what they need, what's proper for them. Chesed is this distribution is not really the word, but it's like the dispersion of goodness to grant goodness even to a person even greater than what they're befitting, than what's befitting of them. Or maybe by Maimer. And he brings in the Maimer that the Rambam writes that tzedakah means, righteousness means providing to anyone what they need. It's just like, it fits perfectly with what he writes, because that quote is from Moed Nevuchim, by the way, where the Rambam is explaining the difference between tzedakah and chesed. So he's saying how this, that the Rambam explains the difference in Moed Nevuchim, obviously stems with what he writes lahalacha about tzedakah. That tzedakah is it's filling in the lack that he lacks. Right? This person had a certain lifestyle and now he can't afford it. We should actually, tzedakah means to help him out, to help him to be able to maintain his lifestyle. But Amr Razal and our sages tell us, what does it mean to maintain his lifestyle? You don't have to help him grow in his lifestyle, as most people want to do. That's not what tzedakah is. Tzedakah means set him back on his feet where he was. Give him what he's lacking. Not give him what he's not lacking and help him get further. But kindness, which is giving goodness in a way that's even more than what's befitting of someone. That's giving in abundance. That's higher than just filling a lack. That's making someone wealthy. That's distributing wealth. Similarly, now we could appreciate what we're talking about when we talk about this Yivarchu Koi, this Hamshacha in Malchus. The Inyan Tzedakah, Hu Hamshachas Hagilui Sheshayach LaMalchus. Tzedakah is a Gilui that's Shayach to Malchus, right? It's like Milei Achisarin. So Yizen is Smalei Achisarin Shalom. What do we mean by chisarin of Malchus, as we're about to say? As it's known, the Inyan Ata Sisas Hashamayim, the Gomer, Ata is written, you have made the heavens, and the word Ata is written without the Hey. Dezesha Malchus Nasis Makar Lahavis Sa'ilamais Asisa Sashamayim who are Yidei Shenachsiru Mimena Hey Partsufin Keser Chachma Bina Za Malchus. Dezesha Nisha Rak Chitzeni is Malchus to Malchus. Because the whole potential for Asisa Esa Shamayim through Ata for Hashem, for God to create Shamayim and Aretz, which is like, they might be majestic, but they're still of earth. They're still, they're still creations. How is that possible? Because Hashem removes Keser, Chachma, Bina, Za, and Malchus to a major extent from Malchus, and allows there to be a kingship over the world, a rulership over the world. So that's what allows there to be a world. That's what allows for Asisa Sashamayim, by the removal of the hay from Atah. So there's a chisarin in Malchus, and drawing a shacha that is in a way of tzedakah within Malchus means completing it, allowing for the gilui of the full picture of Atah with the hay, with keser, chachma, bina, za, etc. Then in a chesed, but what's chesed? To amshachas gilui oir shel mayla mishaychus l'malchus shenimshach b'malchus. That's amshacha of a revelation of light that's higher than really having any relationship to Malchus, and you're drawing that into Malchus. V'zeu shamar razal, and this is where Chachamim tell us, Ezo chassid, amas chassid in kainai. Who is a chassid? Someone who does chesed with his maker. Mefarish b'tikkunei zayar, and the tikkunei zayar explains, im kainai, what's pshat im kainai? With the maker, im kan delay. With his im kan delay, how would we touch that? With where he's rooted from.
Im kan delay, like his creator. It's more personal. That's why it's a delay. I don't know. That's the way I understood it.
Well, the point is that there's a difference, because kainai huza. Kainai is the 6 spheres. Ki atzilos nikra kinin, v'zahu seifa atzilos.
The delay, his.
The kan delay hua malchus. So when our Chachamim are saying who is a chassid, someone who does chesed in kainai,
is that he's bringing
what's that mean?
Zah into kainai, which is malchus as malchus.
Yeah, perfect. And that's why the Zohar explains im kainai im kan delay, because that's what it becomes. If you're doing chesed with kainai, it becomes kan delay. It becomes a gilui that's much higher than anything that's shaykh to malchus by itself. The kan delay o malchus comes across with pardis shamalchus nikris kan v'ini namas chasidim kan delay hu shamamshich b'malchus gilui or chadash shalamayla meha'or shenistalik mimena. You're drawing into malchus a new light that's higher than the light that's old, basically, that like it already had and yet it was removed. So filling in that gap would be tzedakah. But chesed is a gili or malchus that's a or chadash. That's what's kan delay. Ashiros. Ube'inin asfirais upinias hakeser. If we'll use a different spherotic language, then we're talking about pnimius hakeser, atik. Sham shacha dechitzenius hakeser arech. Drawing from the place, the externality of keser chitzenius hakeser, which is arech, hu bichlal milei chisarin. That would still be in the framework of filling in the lack of malchus. Why? The kevan she'arech hu sheir shumakar ha'ne'etzalin ela shumakif alei and seviv. Since arech is the root and source for the emanated beings, not even created beings, it's very lofty, it's the root and source of emanated beings, which are like so close to being just totally absorbed in Hashem's light and basically not existing because they're so bottom. Because it's makif. But what that means to us is that it's shaykh. In other words, that's the beginning of something that isn't just a gilui of atzmos. in other words, being that it's so hard to talk about Netzolim, because Atzilus is, I don't know, how you talk about Atzilus as a created thing. It's not created. But let's put it like this, because in relation, we're creations. So, we have a relationship to Atzilus, because that's the beginning of the end. That's the beginning of what allows for an American standard toilet to be created. I don't know. Like, Atzilus is the beginning of that process. So it's shaykh to Malchus. And therefore, when this R is lacking in Malchus, Malchus is when this R is revealed in Malchus, Malchus is lacking something. But once we draw it down and reveal it, we're filling in the lack. But Atik is not the Shayr Shumakar for Netzalim. It's the lowest level of the Matzil himself, so to speak, of the Eibishter. Even higher than Shaykhis in a way of Seder than Makif, because that's the way that Chitzonius Akeser is Shaykh, that Arif is Shaykh. And that's Ashirus. That's Chesed. That's not that's not putting someone back on their feet. That's putting someone in, in a position to put everyone around them back on their feet. And even more than that. Someone says we should learn the Ilui Nishmas Abram ben Esther and the Ilui Nishmas Shoshana bas Esther and a bunch of other names. Or they're saying that they're here learning with us. All this stuff. Something bothered you in the way I explained it?
No. I'm just trying to understand when you are mamshich, let's just say Arik, right? Chitzonius Akeser into Malchus. It's not Miliach Chesaron of Malchus. Meaning it's like giving a poor person an abundance of wealth, like a beautiful mansion. But it's something which he's shaykh to. So it's like
but the point is that just like tzedakah is dei machsheirei asher yechsar loi, right? That poor person was once a person with an abundance of wealth. So when you provide that to him, it might be a major abundance, but he might have been a billionaire who now has $1 million. But yet, in a way, tzedakah means helping them get back to being a billionaire. And for them, it's just a miliach chesaron. It's not like, $1 billion. So Malchus once had a gilui of all these inyanim in it. That's what it means when we say it's shayach to it. To give me $10 million is not something I ever had, but it's still something I'm shayach to. I hear what you're saying, by the way. That like.
When you put Hey Partufim into Malchus, it's not really Miliach Chesaron, right?
But
you can't compare the Miliach Chesaron of Kandilei to...
Kandilei is not a Miliach Chesaron.
Kandilei is the ultimate Miliach Chesaron. It's Mama's just giving Malchus just Malchus to handle.
No, we're saying that it's not a Miliach Chesaron. Hamischasidim Koinoi means not...
Chachmas is bringing into Kandilei Khan as it is.
Right, so it's not Miliach Chesaron, that's Ashirus.
No, but then he comes to say that even more so, right? He goes on, which is why he goes on to the next lines. Right. What's count is atik shamshon cheseres keser arek ubechlal mila chesaron. Meaning, it's not just
It's not that because that's included.
Hey partukim cheser chacham bin izom into malchus. That's like giving us shears to malchus, but it's more. It's still in the realm of malchus. Atik, which is the Mila, which is the Maitzel, I mean, so you want to learn to explain that.
I used to never learn my Marim like this. As soon as I'd start seeing these, like this kind of language, I'd be like, okay, next. Because like, I want to learn a Maimon that talks to me, that like tells me how to live. Right. It's like, learn about...
Well, the Rebbe's Maimon are very difficult.
The Abisher took away Keser Zah, from Malchus. And there's the Malchus that we're talking about, that's Keser, right? Because that's the bottom of some place, and then there's the bottom feeder Malchus that we're talking about bringing Shacha into. That all of that really can be happening right here in this world. It's like, yeah, great. It's right. To me, it's just sensational.
Right.
Obviously, it's a real Inyan, and just to learn about it is also a real thing, right? People must be and put me onto it for a certain reason, but like, my Rebbe Bahamas definitely doesn't like it, but maybe that's why it's good.
I think it's Arza Ina Miskala Malchus. Malchus Chasera. Maybe that's when this R is not Miskala Malchus. It's Chasera. Fine. Okay.
Well, there's some Shacha.
Manche bei Maimer, Eats mit Gemara, it states in the Gemara, Staka Hilaniyam. Manche bei Maimer, Eats mit Gemara, Staka Hilaniyam, it goes Kasada, and Yidei Laniyam, Bein Lashirim. Right. Wieso was das so wie Gamla Shirin? Move on Shash Bash, beside the Chassid Malam Digas Asher. The heart of Khair Haya Asher Layman that's what Asher must be like shares daily, yes, and Asher makes another Kaidam. What's Kasba Line Shash Bash, beside the Chassid Malam Digas Asher, Layman Digas Asher, Bash, and Spila Asher. When he's back, how do you finish preventing my Chassid English must feel like? Asher Indian Ruba Erkai, and I'm mixing Asher. Lakin my mom was saying last year, Mushashba, she was at a Chesed Lamayla when they get Asher, and she was Achel Gamin. Is that she in the evening, she in the Afro, ain't a Chesarim last year, Shalais. Right. Okay. Right.
Now, you see what we're taking a step further here, right?
Yeah. Well, it actually explains really the question I was asking on the earlier paragraph.
How is it really Miliach? How is it not Miliach?
That this would explain it.
Yeah. Because we're obviously talking about something, even though before we were using the language of Ashirus, we're talking about something that's higher than that's greater.
You answered. Wow.
You want a tight or you want a Suzanne? So what does that mean? He prefaces in the Maimer by explaining the Ashirus that was in the days of Shleima. Meaning we're talking about something that's the Ma'il Me Ashirus. But to understand what's higher than Ashirus, we need to understand what's real Ashirus. And that's what was going on in the days of Shleima. Who the nice was that Shnimshach Malchus, Levana, Sierra, Haya, Parsukim, Shenechseru, Nimshach Balgama, Gilu, Dipinius, Akeser, Atik. Right now, soon there's going to be, the Rebbe's going to take it a step further and say that even that isn't like the Pimius of Atik. But for now, we're saying that by Shlomo Melch's time, there was a Gilu of Pimius, Akeser, Atik. Umeashirus, to Malchus, Knesset Yisrael, Nimshcha Ashirus Muflaga Yisrael Gam Lamata. And from that place of Ashirus, Lemaila, in Malchus, called Knesset Yisrael, was drawn down a crazy Ashirus for Bnei Yisrael Lamata. Ashirus Muflaga B'Gashmis Acha in Knesset Achshav B'nei Yisrael Lamata. As we know that in the days of Shlomo, wow, silver was worth was worth nothing. Ashirus Muflaga B'Ruchnis, and of course, even more importantly, a crazy Ashirus B'Ruchnis, real spiritual wealth. Shabimei Shlomo Dafka Nivna Beis HaMikdash. Specifically in the days of Shlomo, we had built the Beis HaMikdash. Gilui Shayab Shachar Salam?
Yeah.
You want to stop? So you want to take over so you can do it at your pace?
Okay.
No?
Yeah, which were you holding?
I was that true spiritual wealth that in the days of Shlomo we had built the Beis Hamikdash was built.
Right. Like Gilish Beis Hamikdash Gilin Al Yisrael, like Gilish Beis Hamikdash Gilin Al Yisrael, that's be Shlomo Gilin Al Yisrael Gam Nei Shnei Beis Hamikdash. That's be Beis Hamikdash Shlomo Dafka after having had Ali David, the Meshach Shlomo Ish Menucha. Again, we're Shlomo Shlakat Asan Al Yisrael Yom. Then we eat in a base Weiss Shmi. We do the Zeshikol Gay like Til Shlomo Shlachina Yom Menucha Shom.
I still need to send you the Avram Fried song that you said you never heard.
Send it to me. Which
So
are you
nice.
Talin? Like Gil Yom Session here all Yodai. There's a belief in Zeshikol Yom Kolam Mishmes Masala Tama Miti Al Zeshikol Yom Yudnei. She didn't school the course. But there much better than Mashiach. In our way of Kola Ganim, there's actually cool of you and Shachim Love, which you would have Shachim of the course. Like really, our Shahir as Mashach Alam says this is the Amim. We don't have Bukash to Meshach as Leha Kola and Tutus. The Kim Shagiloi.
You have enough of that area. That's not where we're going with it. You're missing the whole thing.
Shahir as Hayagiloi now of Yetzer. The King Amim Tutus became Serapekin. Nishul Agiloi Shahir al Yisrael, because of Malchus Shematis Shema. Shleimir Hashem Hashem Gem Tavi Yerushalayim. Okay.
Pretty cold in here.
A little bit. Alina, you have such a restful, peaceful, beautiful day.
Amazing. And then I'm gonna go exercise. Yeah. I read a good part that's related to what we were learning.
I'm gonna give this to you only because it's not.
You don't think it's gonna work
needs, yeah, for kids, he's difficult. He told me which one he wants. I'm gonna buy it. Oh my gosh. Okay.